American police are actually going to arrest a man who has been in a wheelchair for 25 years. The reason is that he kicked open his ex-girlfriend's door, snatched the car keys, and then fled.
How long have you been in your wheelchair?
Since I was 18.
Since you were 18?
5 years.
I can't. Is this a joke?
Thank
Do me a
you.
favor, lift your hands up above your head, please.
I don't have muscle control.
Okay, that's fine.
It's not like
Put on the other side.
I
on the
literally
other side.
can't. I don't have muscle control. I'm not. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Is the man who has been paralyzed for years faking it, and is he really the suspect? June 15, 2024, the police received the call and rushed to the scene, arriving in University Park, Georgia, USA, and successfully met the caller, Jason.
So, what happened?
He kicked in the door. I ran. He choked me out. Tried to get the keys from my hand of my truck.
Jason also said that after Reed robbed her, he fled as fast as he could. It can be seen that Jason described her experience in great detail. Just listening to this is very annoying. It's just unexpected that Jason told the police officer that she didn't want to press charges against his ex-boyfriend. What's going on here? If you don't want to offend people, why call the police? Officer Bullitt, who was in charge of the case, didn't listen to her and applied to the court for an arrest warrant for Reed. A few months later, the arrest warrant was approved. Officer Bullitt, who was in charge of the matter, took the documents and called the suspect Reed to the police station. It's just that the other person came in a wheelchair. This is somewhat strange. The police officer told Reed that he would read something next, and also ask some questions, hoping he would cooperate compliantly.
So, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to speak to an attorney and to have an attorney present during any questioning. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided to you at government expense.
After reading the Miranda warning, the police officer asked Reed if he was willing to answer his questions without a lawyer present. The other person thought about it and said yes.
Mr. Reed, do you know a Catherine Elizabeth Jensen who once resided at 4111 Fredericksburg Drive?
No, never heard that.
You don't recall who she is?
I have an ex-girlfriend named Catherine Elizabeth Lane from like 20 years ago. But that's the only,
What's going on here? Reed initially said he didn't know Jason at all. After thinking carefully, he added that his ex-girlfriend from 20 years ago was very likely Jason, but the other person didn't tell him her full name. At that time, he was also not sure if it was the same person. Then the police officer continued to ask questions, wanting to know why he came to the police station in a wheelchair.
How long have you been in your wheelchair?
since I was 18.
Since you were 18?
5 years.
If you don't mind me asking, what's your condition?
Gunshot. I was robbed.
There's obviously something wrong here if, as Reed said, he has been in a wheelchair for 25 years. How did he manage to kick open the door and overpower Jason? The officer initially thought he was lying, so he explained why Reed was summoned to the police station.
According to Ms. Jensen, on this date, you forcefully entered her home and attacked her. So,
Yeah, that's,
and you say you have no recollection of who she is.
I have absolutely no idea who that is.
Reed questioned the officer's statement, saying he had long forgotten his ex-girlfriend, so how could he retaliate against her?
Because she was able to provide us with your exact information and a description of how you look.
I truly have no idea who that is. Like,
Reed acted very innocent, saying that even if Jason was his ex-girlfriend, that was 20 years ago, so how could he commit a home invasion robbery? This is really incredible. What's more, how could a man in a wheelchair have the ability to overpower someone, snatch things, and flee quickly?
She says you forcefully entered her home. So, I don't know whether you kicked it down, stormed it through, whatever way, as long as you weren't invited, you were forcefully entering into the home, into the residence. So,
I haven't like been away from my house and like I said, I think when you and I were emailing, I mentioned I have like a toddler. I haven't like been out of my house.
The officer explained the details of the case as described by Jason, but Reed said it was ridiculous, because he was paralyzed in the lower body. He usually could only work from home, or spend time with his children. Moreover, after hearing the location of the crime described by the officer, Reed said he had never even been to college. Today was the first time he had come to University Park, just to go to the police station. He said he was being framed, Although Reed didn't seem to be lying, many people would pretend, now that the arrest warrant was in hand, the officer was still going to arrest him. The officer was going to arrest Reed.
I understand you say you haven't been here, but unfortunately, you do have the warrant out for your arrest. So I'm gonna have to place you into custody, and I'm gonna take you downstairs. You're gonna be booked and entered, and you're gonna have to go to jail.
And put him in jail without even investigating, which was somewhat too hasty.
You're saying you haven't been here in X amount of years, and you say you've been in this wheelchair since you were 18. If you have proof of all of this information that can be verified, so if you get those documents in order, you can bring those with you when you go to your first appearance, to your bond hearing or whatever the case may be, and we'll figure it out.
After saying this, the officer wanted to confirm if Reed had any dangerous items on him. The other person said he didn't.
No, can I pee and stuff?
You'll be able to pee. I'm gonna take you right downstairs. You're not even going anywhere.
Reed also wanted to ask to use the restroom, but was immediately rejected. Then the officer took out handcuffs and put them on Reed's hands. Reed looked shocked and kept swearing, obviously dissatisfied with the officer's actions.
Do me a favor, lift your hands up above your head, please.
I don't have muscle control.
Okay, that's fine.
It's not like
Put on the other side.
I literally can't. I don't have muscle control. I'm not. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Reed fell to the ground, crying out in pain. The officer quickly called others for help. The others briefly asked about the situation and learned that the officer only wanted to perform a simple search and take Reed away, and hadn't done anything inappropriate. Reed ended up in his current state. The officers at the scene thought he was faking it. After all, many suspects are restless and like to put on a show to gain sympathy, so the two sides remained in a stalemate for a long time. The officers wanted to see how long Reed could keep up the act. After a few minutes, Reed spoke first.
Can somebody please help me off the ground? I'm paralyzed. Can I get out of my wheelchair?
It can be seen that a newly arrived officer appeared in the scene, hearing Reed's plea for help. He called his colleagues to help lift Reed back into the wheelchair.
You'll move my leg? It's my leg that's... You see that?
Okay, I got you.
Okay. All right, push it up. I'm gonna have to get behind it a little bit. Okay, so this is what we need to do first. What is the warrant for? Hold on, sir. Hold on. What's the warrant for?
The newly arrived officer saw Reed's condition and asked what had happened.
Ag assault.
I broke into somebody's house.
From the trespass ag assault.
How long ago?
June 19th.
Of
June 19th, 15th, 9th, one of those.
how long
days.
you been paralyzed?
25 years.
Okay. Make a phone call to me. Hold on. Let's get him sitting up right.
After successfully getting Reed back into the wheelchair, the officer began to calm him down.
That you have a warrant, but we're gonna do our due diligence. Because if you're paralyzed, somebody must have made a mistake.
I thought
Okay. Hold on. Who is the original agency? We are. Who's the detective? You are. Okay. Give me a second.
It was obvious that this officer, who seemed to be a supervisor, handled things more carefully and responsibly. He didn't immediately conclude that Reed was faking his illness, but instead wanted to investigate clearly before making a judgment. He then called over Bullet, who was holding the search warrant, wanting to know the details of the case.
I got a call about a lady from 4111 Fredericksburg Drive. And so basically she was like, and when I got to the house, the front door was kicked in, and I think she was like hiding by the garage or something. And she comes out and she's bleeding from her arm. Her neck is bruised up and everything. She's like, my ex-boyfriend who we broke up 2 days ago just entered my home and attacked me.
Officer Bullet explained the details of the case in detail, and then told the supervisor, after hearing about Jason's experience, he had asked if the other person knew information about her ex-boyfriend, and Jason had clearly said it.
Wife said he got shot at 19. He's been paralyzed since then. Needs to do some backdrop.
So I was like, man, I don't know if this is true or not, and I can't ascertain that right now.
So, might need to call the district attorney's office. Because if the door was kicked in, he didn't kick it in.
The supervisor analyzed the situation clearly and logically. In fact, it's easy to investigate this matter. It just needs to be proven whether Reed is really paralyzed, instead of just listening to the caller's one-sided story, and hurting someone who might be innocent.
Well, she didn't say kicked in. She said, well, I can't recall if it was kicked in or if that's what she said, because all I remember I wrote was that forced entry was made.
Officer Bullitt panicked and started speaking incoherently, saying he couldn't remember the details of the case. In fact, what Jason said at the time was that her ex-boyfriend kicked open the door and then broke into her house. Now things have come to this point. There must be someone lying between the two.
Because now it's looking like she might have made a false report. So that's what I was looking like. I was like, I don't know. Because between now and June, that's what, 9 months? I was like, I don't know if something happened between those 9 months that might have put him in a wheelchair.
Let's walk back here.
Officer Bullitt's voice became much weaker. He obviously began to waver, feeling that he might really have been tricked by Jason. But now the court arrest warrant has been approved. Should Reed be arrested or not? The supervisor thought they should consult the police inspector and ask what to do next.
Don't mean to interrupt your lunch. I'm stepping in, helping out a little bit. They got a quadriplegic guy up there.
And I just want to put it out there, he flopped out the wheelchair. I was like, can you raise your hands? Because I'm trying to, pat him down, make sure he doesn't have anything. I don't know if the camera's going to catch it, but I got him by the tip of my fingers. And he just...
It's a ruse, man.
So,
it's an obvious attempt to not to go to jail, so.
Yeah.
Officer Bullitt described what had just happened. Upon hearing this, the inspector immediately gave his opinion. Reed must be faking it. He didn't even bother to go out and take a look. The supervisor couldn't stand it.
But he is fucked up from the waist below.
That is, after actually seeing him, I agree. But then again, like I said, I don't know what happened between 9 months.
When the inspector heard the two officers talking nonstop, he immediately said to just arrest Reed, then continued to enjoy his lunch. There was no way. The inspector had given the order. The two officers had to go back to find Reed.
So I just spoke to LT and Major. Unfortunately, I still have to take him. This is a felony warrant. Now, I don't know what's happening between you and this young lady, whatever you guys had. That's not...
Yeah, I understand that.
So if she made a false report, that's going to be on her, obviously. Like I said, I explained, I noticed her condition, I see it, but I have to do my due diligence. It's a warrant out, I have to go ahead and take you in. So now that's going to be up to you and the courts and your lawyers and her and that, to establish your innocence.
Officer Bullitt explained the current situation to Reed. He was just acting in accordance with the law. If Reed wanted to prove his innocence, he needed to produce evidence. After hearing this, Reed said he could produce the materials right away.
You can call the DMV and see that I've used mechanical aids on my license for the past 25 years.
Then Reed added that the hospital could also prove that he had been paralyzed for a long time. In fact, this could be found out with a simple check. Hearing that Reed didn't sound like he was joking, Bullitt wavered again. He hoped that Reed would give him some time to consult the inspector again.
I'm so sorry, last thing. He's saying that he can prove with paper documentation that he's been in a wheelchair for that long.
Okay, but you can still punch somebody in the wheelchair, right? I mean, that doesn't mean that he didn't do what he was accused of, right?
So,
he could have forced entry if he had a tool, or who knows? I don't think just because you're in a wheelchair doesn't mean you
can't break a door down.
Right.
Even now, the police inspector still refused to move his butt. He obviously didn't want any extra complications. He thought that even if Reed was paralyzed, there were thousands of ways to break open the door. When Bullitt heard the inspector say this, he knew the other person meant to arrest Reed, according to the warrant, but he was actually a bit unsure now, so he called the district attorney, but no one answered the phone. Bullitt had to go back to find Reed and said he would first take him to the hospital for an examination, because the fall just now looked quite serious. Only after that would he arrest him, but Reed didn't want to go, saying he wanted to talk to a judge.
Or just wait for my lawyer to get here. That's or can I call my lawyer? Anything other than throwing me.
You can call your lawyer, but like I said, the warrant is still outstanding, and you're still gonna have to go to jail.
It seemed the officer was determined to arrest Reed today. After all, he had a court-approved arrest warrant in hand. It was just that Reed was strongly resisting. After a while, the officer who was on field duty came back to help. and briefly learned about the situation. Before he could say anything, Reed hurriedly poured out his grievances to him.
I literally have been in communication with this gentleman for a month trying to figure out why in the world I have a warrant. I feel like I was tricked into coming here today. Yeah, because like he told me I could just come and sign some piece of paper.
The newly arrived officer was obviously a bit confused. Watching Reed and Bullitt argue nonstop, he scratched his head anxiously. In the end, he still handed over the decision-making power to Bullitt. Bullitt took out handcuffs and wanted to take Reed to the hospital for an examination. The other person shouted anxiously that this couldn't be done.
Like I can't push with the handcuffs on. I can't move out of my chair with the handcuffs.
I will. You can push yourself, or I can will you, whatever one you feel most comfortable with.
In the end, Officer Bullitt put away the handcuffs. He hoped that Reed would cooperate compliantly. At this point, the firefighter who had been watching for a long time couldn't stand it anymore. He persuaded Reed to go to the hospital for a checkup. He also said that if he didn't want to take a police car, there was an ambulance, but was rejected. Because Reed only wanted to see a judge to argue his case, he didn't want to go to the hospital, let alone jail. Stalemating like this wasn't a solution. At this time, a policewoman patiently asked about Reed's needs.
So are you going to go to the hospital, go get seen?
I do not want to go to the hospital. It's incredibly uncomfortable for me to be in any vehicle other than my vehicle. That's why it's a special vehicle with hand controls and all that stuff. In any chair, except for my chair, because I have severe scoliosis.
Although the policewoman had only been there for a while, she roughly understood Reed's demands. Understanding that he was eager to prove his innocence, she told him that even if he kept dragging his feet, he would eventually have to deal with this matter. There was no escaping it. Moreover, to see a judge, he must first go through the police station procedures.
I'm fine doing everything right now. I'm not trying to hide from a responsibility.
Right.
It's clear mistaken identity.
Later, under the persuasion of the policewoman, Reed said that if he had to be put in jail, could he be given some time to go to the bathroom and eat something and then find a reliable lawyer. The policewoman agreed, allowing him to go home first to take care of his affairs, but he must return to the police station to surrender within the specified time.
We want you to willingly turn yourself in tonight. That way we can get it over and you can be done with this and not have to worry about it, okay? And then if you can't turn yourself in, you need to. But remember, we could always go get you.
Soon, Reed went back home as he wished. Later, his arrest warrant was successfully revoked. Reed was cleared of suspicion. So what really happened with Jason being bullied? April 2025, the police station released the body camera footage of the incident. Upon seeing it, Jason contacted the police station immediately, saying she actually suffered from a severe mental illness, and now she remembered everything. She had never met Reed, and there was no robbery at all. Most shockingly, this wasn't the first time Jason had done something like this. Before falsely accusing Reed, Jason herself had been imprisoned for theft and filing a false police report, but Officer Bullitt did no investigation. When applying to the court for the arrest warrant, he had no idea about any of this. If he had conducted an investigation beforehand, he would never have targeted the innocent Reed. Later, all the truth came to light. Jason, who filed the false report, didn't face legal punishment and didn't apologize to Reed. The police station also didn't provide any reasonable explanation. It's likely that Reed will sue the police station later. After all, he suffered significant physical and mental harm after being summoned. The police station should compensate him. If you like my channel, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe.